Alright, we're back to our stained glass project here. What we're doing right now is cutting out pieces. Basically, stained glass is cutting out pieces of colored glass and attaching them to a pattern. Generally, to start off, you need two patterns. One to lay your glass out on once you cut it out, and one to cut out the pieces of pattern so you know how to mark them on your glass. There's a couple of ways to do this. One way to do it is to lay the pattern over a piece of glass with a light under it, and then you can trace it onto that. I don't have that, and I don't have the room for it. Another way is how I show my daughter to do it. We glue the pattern down, and then they cut around it. But how I normally do it is I just take the pattern, lay it on the glass, hold it as still as I can, and then I trace around it with a Sharpie marker. For the lighter pieces of glass like this one, I'll use a black marker. If it's a darker piece of glass, I'll use a silver Sharpie, which will show up better on the dark glass where the black wouldn't. There's always more than one way to do things, and as you do the project, you'll develop your own style of doing it and what works for you. There's no one right way to do anything. There's always more than one way to do it. And then once you have it on the glass, you just cut it out. There's a couple of different ways to do this. You can either cut along the edge, or you can cut the piece out into a smaller piece and then work on it from there. Now I'm going to cut this piece out so I'll have something to work with without having to use the whole glass. You just lay your breaking pliers on it with it has a line here for the line, and then press and break it loose. I have a rubber pad here that I bought recently, and I kind of like working on it better than I do the wood table. It has more give to it, and the piece doesn't move on you as you're doing your cuts. When you do the cut on it to score it, you want to cut just inside the line, because your pattern, if you cut it out right and you check the measurements, will be the right size. But when you do the pin along the outside of it, if you cut outside your line here, it's wider than what you need. Because you want to leave enough space to either put the lead came, if you're doing a lead came one, which is between pieces of strips of lead that you put in between the glass, or if you're doing the soldering, you're going to have copper foil, which will take up some room. So just do a score inside the line, and take your breaking pliers, and then pull it off, and discard the small pieces of glass. I took a picture earlier, I don't know if I'm going to put on the video or not, but it kind of shows what a junky table I have here. And it's from all the scrap glass, and that maybe someday I'll use again, in which I have used on different projects, extra glass I've had. The problem is to know is should you save it or should you throw it away? If it's a larger piece of glass, I save it in the thoughts that maybe one day I'll need to use it again. But I have probably 7 boxes here of various different colors of glass that are full of it here, and it's starting to take up a good bit of room in my workshop. And then once you get your piece cut out, you'll lay it on the pattern, see if it fits. Grind off the rough edges, and then go to your next piece. The step I like to do after this is I get the piece the size that I want it. I'll put the copper foil around it, because I barely started on this. Maybe you have a tenth of it done, and we've already done 30 pieces. And if you wait to the end, you'd have to do copper foil around 100 different pieces, and that would drive me insane. So I do the pieces at a time. If I have to take the foil off to reshape it later, then I have to do it. To me, and like I said, everybody has their own way of doing stuff. It's easier to do the foil as I go. It's my pretty wife out here helping us. Just lay them on the line that you cut. Alright. Now she has a smaller piece that she's going to work with to cut off the extra bits. I don't know if you can hear our chickens sound pretty excited outside. Whoops. If anyone was interested in learning stained glass or taking it up as a hobby, I recommend actually finding a place to actually take a school where you have a professional teach you how to do it. I took a class in Dallas. I believe the school was called Cottrell Ripken or something like that. They have a gallery and they're very friendly people up there. It didn't make me an expert by any means, but it did show me the basics and get me started on doing stained glass. And I'm not an artist by any means. Stick figures are about the extent of my artistic ability. But this is basically, you just have a pattern, you pick out your color from there. And the fun part about stained glass is the rewarding part at the end, because you really don't know exactly how it's going to turn out till you're done. When you hold it up to the window and see how the light shines through it. I suppose you could do it for money and stuff, but I wouldn't know how to charge for my time. I kept track of hours on one of my projects, and it took me about 13 hours to make a small piece. So I don't know how you would charge somebody for that, especially if you're charging for your time. Generally, I end up just giving away these as gifts. But this is relaxing. You listen to your music or do whatever you enjoy doing. We got an assembly line going. She's been cutting them, grinding, and putting the proper foil on it. Look at concentration on her face.
Moved with your pen, changing moods now and then, till the balance was right. Then you added some music